Hello, and we are live. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me. You are watching Art Autopsy. This is a bi weekly live art stream. I'm your host, Clint Carney. I'm a professional artist. I do a lot of work in the film and television industry, as well as show in galleries all over. And yeah, today we're going to make a new painting. If you're new to the show, I encourage you to make some art right along with me. It doesn't have to be what I'm creating. Create whatever kind of art you like. And this show just kind of gives you a reoccurring excuse to make some art. I know sometimes it's hard to find the time to make art in our busy schedules. And sometimes the only way to get it done is to actually schedule it. And so if you come and join me every 2 weeks, we can all put more art out into the world. Let's see, who do we got in the chat? Travis, what up? Jennifer, hello, hello. Oh, hello from Nolo. Traveling, I see. All right. Well, first I just want to start out by saying thank you to all of my awesome patrons. Jennifer Gupil, Tango 14, Travis, Anthony Ferraro, Rachel, Derek Justice, Sea of Dead Faces, Violet, Jill, Charlie, Misty, Donna, and Necro Technicon. Thank you guys so much. It means a lot to me. Oh, and Bill has joined us. Hey, Bill, how's it going? So, as I was saying before, if you make art during this show, there's another thing you can do with it. If you would like to share it with the world, I would love to see it personally. You can email me pictures of what you work on during the show. My email address is clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I will feature art. I will feature your art on an upcoming episode if that is something you are into. So that being said, let's get into some viewer art before we start painting. Okay. This first submission comes from Liz Miller, who goes by the artist name Phoenix. Liz is a longtime contributor. We've showcased a lot of her work here, and this is, I believe, some pen and ink stuff that was done from some live, drawn from life from sculptural pieces. So good job, Liz. Thanks for sending that in. And yeah, if you've got any additional thing to tell the audience, let us know in the chat. And also, for those of you watching, please feel free to participate in the chat. I try to monitor it as much as I can while I'm painting, but also rely a lot on you guys. And we have a lot of cool artists that pop in and out throughout the streams that are in the chat. So it's a great way also to connect with other artists. But yeah, great job, Liz, on these skulls. Fantastic. The next viewer highlight is our first time submitter, but this gentleman I have known for many a year, and I'm really glad that he has joined us for Art Autopsy and got to create some art. So this is from Bill Hawley, spelled Hawley. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, Bill. But look at these amazing things. So Bill is clearly an awesome sculptor and painter. So the bat, I believe he told me he sculpted during the last Art Autopsy, and then the other heads he made during the previous one. So got a little Creature from the Black Lagoon action going on, some zombie heads, just really cool stuff. Really love it. Really love the color choice and everything. So fantastic job, everyone. Zach Ward has joined us. Hey, Zach, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining us. And let's see who else. Quality Scott Control Masterclass Outstanding, Clint. Hey, thanks for joining us. Okay, so a quick bit of promo, and then we're going to get to making art real soon. I promise you. Real quick, my website is clintcarney.com. You can go over there. You can find original art, prints, shirts, masks that I make for sale, but also there's an events page there where you can find out about upcoming events that I will be at. A link to my Patreon's there, and a link to this YouTube channel in case you forget how to find it. That being said, events coming up this weekend. I am part of a group show at the Santa Clarita Artist Association Gallery here in Santa Clarita, where I live. It's my first time showing in the gallery. So I'm excited about that. It's actually going to be a painting that I created during an art autopsy episode. It's called "The Rules of the Game Are Not Clear." If for those of you who have been watching for a while, you may, it was the black and white elephant one playing cards that I did. It's going to be a circus themed show there, and I thought that was an appropriate piece for it. I actually started that piece intending to submit it to a black and white show that they had at that gallery, and life conspired against me and I missed the deadline. But I'm happy that there was another themed show there that was appropriate to submit it to, and yeah, submitted it, got in. The opening reception is this weekend. You can look again at my website, clintcarney.com. There's all the details. So aside from the opening reception, the gallery is all artist run. So the artists that are in the gallery take turns doing shifts, kind of working the gallery and meeting the customers as they come in and so forth. So I'm actually going to be at the gallery for 4 other blocks of time. I don't have them all memorized right now, but off the top of my head, I can tell you, if you can't make it on Saturday to the opening reception, I will also be there Friday from 5 to 8. But I'll also be posting my schedule there on the events page coming up. So, yes, let's see. I'm just checking in on the chat here. Zach is working on a Jason mask at the moment. Fantastic. Anyone else working on art right now? Let us know in the chat what you're working on. Can't wait to see it for all of those that want to share. Again, my email address is clintcarneycreates@gmail.com. Send me photos of whatever you're working on, and I'll share it in the next stream. Okay, let's get to painting, shall we? Well, all right. This is the blank canvas to be painted, but I feel like I should tell you guys what is going on with the piece that I started at the last art autopsy. Let me grab it real quick. It is somewhere over here. I am off camera looking at piles of paintings everywhere. Paintings absolutely everywhere. Oh, it was in arm's reach the entire time. So this is where I started at the last session, and as you can see, I have not done a darn thing to it since then. I have been so swamped. I'm working on a directing gig right now, doing a music video for the band Alice, and so in between the last art autopsy and now, we filmed that video, and then I've just been in post-production the entire time. So just tons of work on that. That has taken up most of my time, but it's not that I didn't paint in the interim, because I try not to let a day go by without painting. But I did have so that one will get finished in the future, but I had a deadline coming up this weekend to drop off another painting, and so I've mostly been working on this other painting, which you guys, other than my patrons who saw it earlier today, you guys are going to be the first to see this one. Still not finished. I'm going to try to finish it by tomorrow so it has time to dry a little bit before I frame it, but this is how it's shaping up so far. So this piece is called The Big Fish, which is it's for a tribute show to David Lynch, an amazing artist and director and hero of mine. And if you don't understand the reference, The Big Fish, it's a quote from his book Catching the Big Fish, and he talks about ideas, like you have to go deeper to find the really big ideas, and he uses the analogy of big fish for that. And he's also very into transcendental meditation, and I captured him kind of in a meditating pose. And then another just fantastic quote from him that I love, and I'm going to butcher this quote, but it was, look for the donut, not the hole. Just again, I'm misquoting, I'm paraphrasing there, but that was the gist of it. So that is what I've been painting instead of the other art autopsy piece, which I promise I will get to eventually. Today, however, I just got some paint. See, that's the problem with putting your palette on the back of your paintings, is then when you lean it up against something, and I just did it again over here, you get paint on the thing you lean it up against. Whatever, worth it. It's October. we're gonna do kind of a Halloween themed feast today. So I hope you guys don't mind. So as always, I've pre-toned the canvas. This is a gray-green, just kind of a medium tone. I'm going to start with an underpainting as usual. Or first, we're going to just sketch it out and see where it goes. Um, and my thought for this painting is um, to keep it Halloween themed. I want to do a painting of a monster that is trick or treating, but he doesn't want to go as himself because he doesn't want to be too scary for the other trick or treaters out there. But so he's going to be dressed as a ghost while trick or treating. But hopefully you'll still be able to tell that it's a monster underneath the ghost sheet. So that's my idea. Um, and I want to give him a good old classic pumpkin bucket to be holding while he's trick-or-treating. So I got him, this guy over here, just for reference. And check this out. Now I want to keep this in mind when I'm working on this painting. I'll bring my face in, but see, as the bucket gets close to me, it actually reflects the orange onto my skin. And this is as you paint and you tend to you want to try to observe things like that, in your subject. Not only what is the color of your subject, but is it bouncing light and things like that. So we're going to put that little nugget of knowledge to use on this painting, and I ideally will have a little bit of an orange cast going onto the sheet. I might even get crazy with it and put maybe a little glow inside of the pumpkin. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to start out by sketching. I'm just throwing on some Alkyd, which is a fast drying oil paint, and I'm going to thin it down with some odorless terpenoid, and this is just for the sketching phase. I want to get through the sketch as fast as possible so we can get into, some painting. And here we go. Oh, let's see. I'm just looking in the chat here. Oh, Jennifer says thanks. Congrats on the exhibit. Thank you, Jennifer. Liz says she's applying stencils to fake skin. I got a stencil printer too. Love it. Oh, nice. Nice. Getting ready to do some tattooing then, huh? Excellent. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to keep it center frame. So I want it to be like, like a monster kid too. So probably not like full proportions. I'm going to have him like on a porch. You know what I mean? Like he's getting ready to go trick-or-treating, and his mom says, hey, let me take a picture of you in your costume before you go out, kind of thing. So he's going to be posing here on his own front porch, I think. So this is going to be like a front step. Let's see, we're going to put him about mid porch level there, and I want to keep this painting kind of symmetrical. I'm just going to throw in like a quick reference line here so I don't get too crazy messing up my symmetry. Okay, this is just a line for the top of his head here. This is going to be the bottom of his feet, and yeah, not a super complex shape here because yeah, he's wearing a sheet. But the fun of this will be, you could do a painting like with this subject matter and make it as simple or as complex as you want. But the fun of this will be figuring out, the folds in the cloth and that sort of thing, So let's see. And that's where we have a chance to make it interesting, Again, I've recommended this book a number of times on this show, but check out Vern Hogarth's Drawing Dynamic Cloth. It's a good book. and it really has some good tips for thinking about how to do the folds in cloth and things like that. So. And let's see, so his head's up here. I'm just keeping, in general, right? Obviously his anatomy is going to be obscured by this sheet, but I want to have a general idea of where things are. Top of his head, his hand's going to come around here, maybe a little foreshortening on an arm coming out here, and there's going to be a hand that's then going to be holding a pumpkin bucket. And so, because like I said, I want this to be a monster that's trick-or-treating. So this is going to be the clue here that it's a monster, or one of them, is that his hand obviously is going to have to be monstrous. So, and just roughing in the shape of the old pumpkin bucket. And again, I got my pumpkin bucket just off camera over here to my right, so I can reference it. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty simple concept, but hopefully, hopefully I can nail the execution. And then I'm going to give him, a couple eye holes here, and this I think is going to be the other clue. He's going to have like glowing red eyes or glowing yellow eyes or something. So kind of a monster hand, the glowing eyes, and then I may or may not give him a tail coming out the bottom of the sheet. I don't know about that yet. I'm going to just work it and see if it feels like it needs a tail or not. If it doesn't need a tail, if that seems like it'd be too much, I'll leave it off. But if it does, we'll give it a tail. Zach says, I like that hat. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Good old chainsaw. Can't go wrong with it. All right. Let's see. I'm just leaning back, see how I feel about that. Let's see. Start throwing in a little bit of shadow here. And again, I want him in front of a door, so I'm going to grab a T-square or a yardstick, whatever I can grab first. I got a yardstick here. I don't know where my T-square is. Oh, that's over there. We'll use that because I am not really adept at painting straight lines by freehand. So I'm just gonna use this to get us there, right? Okay, that's the side of the door. Let's see. Again, I want to keep it kind of symmetrical, at least. Yeah, that looks good. Good enough. Oops. And then let me fix my lines down here. Okay, so oh man, I'm just running out of space here. All the crap I have lying around. Okay, so this first line here is the bottom of the step. Redo that one with a little more paint on the brush. Okay, that's the bottom of the step, and then we're going to do the top of the step. Great. And then we're going to do the this is the back of the porch there. So it'd be the stoop of the door. And then let's see. We should probably figure out. And I'm just roughing these in. You know, I can change these later if I decide. Uh, Maybe something like that. I don't know. We'll figure that out more precisely later. This step is going to be in shadow. Okay. And yeah, that's as much as I'm going to deal with the porch for right now. Let's start working in some more shadow on him here. Zach says, I need to get a T-square. I'm always using Sketchbook or anything that has a straight line to do that. Yeah, no, I mean anything that works, right? But I like using the T-square. The other thing I do with my T-square is I've got like a little lip here at the bottom of my easel that I can stick it in, and I can do that if I'm painting to keep my hand out of wet paint. So it's multi-use. So we're going to imagine that there's a porch light kind of up and to the right here. All right, so go with me on that. That's my light source. But it's not going to be too shadowy necessarily, because there's going to be some ambient, maybe street light in front of him that we're not seeing. So, but that's the main light that's casting the shadow. But his shadow side isn't going to be all dark, is what I'm saying. Well, if someone just tunes in now and they see this blob on my canvas, they'll not know what the hell I'm painting. But I promise it will take shape. All right, let's squeeze out some white and start adding in some highlights here to help give it a little bit of shape. And again, I'm still using the alkyds, and I'm just going to use those for the black and for the white. Those colors tend to dry pretty slowly with regular oil paint, so I find that using them for using the alkyds helps get through the it's still oil paint, it's just faster drying, and it helps get through this sketch phase faster, the underpainting phase faster. And for right now, I'm just letting that toned canvas of the gray-green act as the mid-tone, and just popping in kind of our brighter highlights right now. And because I'm doing that, I had talked about possibly having the pumpkin bucket have a glow to it, so I guess I should decide that right now. During the underpainting phase. And also, I'll finesse this more, but I am going to have his eyes glowing pretty bright. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw in some white circles right here as placeholders for his glowing eyes. And let's see, this sleeve right here is certainly going to catch a bit of the light because this arm is going to be sticking out a bit. So Light's coming down from here. This is shadow side, but this arm is forward, so it's going to catch the light that's coming down right there, okay? You with me? Okay. Okay, cool. I gotta switch to a slightly smaller brush. And for those of you who haven't watched before, if you have watched, you know this already, but for those who haven't, these are the kind of brushes that I kind of prefer to use, these ones that have this nice angle to it. I find those to be very versatile. So like 90% of my paintings are done with that style of brush. Not always. So I basically use those angled brushes, but have lots of different sizes of those for the most part until we get into detailing and stuff like that. So, um, maybe the pumpkin bucket isn't so much glowing as it's just empty right now. So I'm thinking it in terms of if he's holding the bucket out, right, and the light's coming down here, it's going to act, the light is going to kind of come through here and actually illuminate this side of the bucket from the top hole. It's going to obviously cast light on the other side too, but it's also going to give it a nice glow onto that side if we concede that the bucket is empty at this stage in the night before the trick-or-treating has begun in earnest. Let's see, I'm not going to worry too much about the face right now. I can draw that in later. I want to think more about the light on this and what feels correct to me. And then once we figure that out, we can figure out the face. I mean, I'm just going to be matching my existing pumpkin bucket face probably because it's a classic pumpkin bucket look. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Okay, for those who are just joining, and again, if you're new to the show, let me tell you now, I have to do this every few minutes because people pop in and out throughout the stream. But for those who are just joining, you are watching Art Autopsy. It's a bi-weekly live stream. I'm your host, Clint Carney. I'm a professional artist. I do a lot of work in the film and television industry, as well as showing in a bunch of galleries. And every 2 weeks, I do a live stream where we make a brand new painting, and I encourage everyone at home to make some art right alongside me. And if you do make some art that you'd like to share with the world, email it to me at clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I'll share it on an upcoming stream. And thus ends my spiel. Okay, so this is like, I'm just thinking of how this is going to eventually cast a little bit of orange light off of here. Again, this is just a bounce from that orange, but I figure it's going to be a little more intense right here at the base of it, so this part of the cloth is a little more forward, that's why it's catching it. That's a little more shadow side. Yeah, okay, cool, taking shape. Let's get a little detail on that hand. So he starts looking like a hand. Like I said, it's going to be a monster trick-or-treating, so maybe it'll be kind of lizardy, something like that. We'll see when we get into color, but for now I just want a hand shape. Let's check in with the chat. Let's see. Liz is applying some skull and ghost stencils. Excellent. Hey, Michael Garcia, thanks for joining. Oh, you finished your animatronic. Awesome. Would love to see it. And yes, I do have a Facebook. It's under my name, Clint Carney. Yeah, find me on there. Send me a picture of the animatronic. Would love to see it. Oh, little YouTube milestone in between the last stream and now. Got 26,000 subscribers, so that's pretty neat. They're all watching my shorts, though. They don't watch the certainly not watching the live streams or the long forms, but seem to be gathering quite the shorts, YouTube Shorts audience for whatever reason. I guess that's just what the algorithm favors these days. Okay, let's see. Let's do three fingers. I want to make it clear to the casual viewer that this is not a human under the sheet. So we're just going to go with three reptilian fingers. Hands are made up of a lot of different shapes, and they can be a little tricky until you get used to doing it. And um, so the top plane of the hand here is catching the light. Uh, the right side of the fingers is going to catch the light, at least at first, but most of it is going to be in shadow. And I'm also not only considering the light source on this, but I'm also considering kind of what texture I'm eventually going to add to this hand. Um, Trying to think of as much of that stuff as I can in the underpainting phase, because then once you get into adding color, things just go a lot faster. But inevitably, I always end up redrawing things a little bit, even as we move into the color phase. But for now, yeah, that's a three-fingered monster hand. Sure it is. And let's give him a little handle. Okay, cool. And now, why not? Let's go ahead and give him a face here. Let's see. Again, for those just joining, got my pumpkin bucket over here. I always have tons of stuff on my shelves. I got masks. I got, obviously you can see there's a ridiculous amount of VHS tapes. I've got skulls. I've just got stuff laying all over the place. And I find, just as far as like an art studio goes, it's cool to have different things laying around because it always gives you something to look at, and you can steal light and shadow from different objects, and can help you visualize things even if it's not directly what you're painting. Um, let's see, and in the chat, let's see, Zach says always use acrylic and want to get into oil. Any tips for a starting point? Well, if you've already done acrylic, man, you will take to oil quite well. I tried to do oil a long time ago when I was younger and struggled with it, and it wasn't until I spent some time with other mediums, watercolor, tempera, and acrylic, and then went back to oil, that I really kind of grasped, or grew to love working in it. It's the same thing. But instead of thinning your paints with, pardon me, instead of thinning your paints with water, you're going to be thinning your paints with a medium, and it's just going to dry slower, which is cool because it's going to give you more time to manipulate your image. With acrylic, me personally at least, I'm always racing against that dry time, which is great to make you a faster painter, but sometimes you don't want it to dry right away. And you can add mediums to acrylic paint to slow down the drying process, but with acrylic, it's just a lot more, forgiving like that. So yeah, I think I think you just got to buy a set and start, start messing around with it. I know people say all the time that oil paints are really expensive, and that's what prevents a lot of people from getting into it. So they are and they aren't. I guess, if you look at just like the cost of like a tube of oil paint, you know, of course, a tube this size is going to be way more expensive than a tube 3 times the size of acrylic paint. The difference is you're going to go through that acrylic paint in a month. This tube's going to last you your lifetime. So, or at least a few years at least, yeah, oil paint stretches quite a bit, depending on how thick or thin you paint. And I tend to be a thin painter for the most part. Um, there are certain colors that I do go through a lot, and those tend to be, well, black and white mostly because I do, I, those get mixed with everything, so I do go through black and white a lot. But most other colors, just replace them as you need them. And it's if you're just wanting to dip your toe in the world of oil painting, and you don't want to commit any large amount of money to it, I suggest just get black, white, and the primary colors, because you can mix any color from the primary colors. Also a great exercise in learning how to mix paint. Um, therefore, red, blue, yellow, black, white, and then you're off to the races. Although I will say too, there is absolutely nothing wrong with painting in acrylic or any other medium for that matter. It really depends on like, what are you comfortable with and what do you enjoy painting with the most. Yeah, once I revisited acrylic, or once I revisited oil, I rediscovered a love for it, and I'll still do an acrylic painting every now and again. Um, but yeah, oil is just my jam. And I'm still painting very thin right now because I want this underpainting um, to dry pretty quickly so I can start throwing in some color. Whenever possible, I like to get to the color phase while we're still going through the live stream. Does not always work out, but I do endeavor to do that. So we'll see how it goes. Oh, you are welcome. Let's see. Jennifer can't hang out long today. Oh, no worries. I know you're traveling, Jennifer, but thank you for watching. I appreciate that. Let's see. Michael says, I like acrylic paint. I do paint, but I just hate how to run out of acrylic painting. Color. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you do run out of acrylic a lot faster than oil. Oh, another good tip, though, especially if you're not fully committed yet and you just want to try out oil, go to a garage sale, man. Uh, Oil paint is like exercise equipment. People buy it thinking that they're gonna paint, and then they do a painting or two, and then they never use it, and then they eventually just sell it. And they usually sell it for pretty cheap. So you can actually find, if you just go to a few garage sales, you'll find some oil paint, and it will be way cheaper. So usually when I spot oil paint out in the wild, even if it's a color I already have, I usually just pick it up just to, you know, build up my stores. or estate sales, same thing. And now I'm just kind of refining, the fabric a bit, getting into a little more of the detail work. I already started. Well, yeah, the end of September, last weekend of September, I started putting out Halloween decorations. So got a few animatronics out there already. Got it nice and lit. Lots of cool colored lights out there. Um, I did pick up a new animatronic from Home Depot this year. I do love building them, but I also sometimes you see one out in the wild and it's just so cool. I can't help myself. In this case, Home Depot had this, I believe it's a 6'5" or so skeleton, but it's programmable. So it has like a voice in it, but you can connect to it with Bluetooth and put your own voice in. And it's got lights inside that you can program. It has LEDs for the eyes that you can program, and all kinds of cool stuff. So that's what sold me on it. Now I haven't actually done any customization on it yet, but as soon as I am wrapped with this directing gig I am working on, I'm going full in on the Halloween display, and we'll be doing that kind of customizing. Oh, I talked earlier about the art show I have coming up this weekend at the Santa Clarita Artists Association Gallery. Excited about that, but then I completely forgot to talk about the other shows that I have coming up. So let me just spam you guys with that information too. Oh, I did talk about the David Lynch show, and that's going to be at the Last Bookstore on October 12th is the opening reception. That should be a really fun one. And then after that, I have a piece at Descanso Gardens, which is a really cool spot in La Cañada Flint Ridge. And I have an uncharacteristic piece in that show. It's more of a nature themed show. And so, my normal weirdo art wouldn't necessarily fit in that gallery, but I do love squirrels, and I did a pretty fun and colorful squirrel painting for that gallery. And I really love Descanso Gardens, and the gallery there is really cool. I've always wanted to show there, so very excited about having a piece in there. And then after that, so that opening reception for that one is November 1st, and that's open to the public, and that show runs through till January 4th, I believe, or sometime in January. And then after that, Hyena Gallery is going to be doing another horror market in November, and I am going to be vending there as well. So I'm going to have a booth there. I'll have art and the usual stuff, but I'm also hoping to finish a few more 3D projects between now and then. Sculptural projects, some masks and things like that. Um, I've been doing a lot of digital sculpting for this music video I'm working on. Um, it's a big, the video itself is like a sci-fi piece. So, doing a lot of digital modeling with spaceships and things like that. But there's also, I don't want to ruin it, but there is an alien in it um, that I got to sculpt and had a lot of fun doing that. And that kind of reminded me that I actually do really enjoy sculpting digitally as well as practically. So um, I do have a couple work in progress digital sculpts that I think I'll finish up and probably 3D print up at some point. As well as, I'm going to try to get a new mask in time to for that in November. So there you go. That's the calendar of live events thus far. And of course, 2 weeks from today, I'll be live streaming again. Actually, shoot, I'll have to look at my calendar, but my wedding anniversary is coming up too, so I gotta be sure to not schedule a live stream on my wedding anniversary. So if I'm here and if it's not my wedding anniversary, I'll have to look at the calendar. I don't know. But if it does conflict, I'll certainly schedule another live stream at an appropriate time. How are you guys feeling about this painting so far? You enjoying it? It's a fun little dude. I'm having fun painting him. I don't know if you guys are having fun watching him being painted. Let me know. Liz says in the chat, I'm sure your wife won't mind if you stream on your anniversary. I am going to say the opposite of that statement. I'm sure she will mind. I don't want to chance it either way. Okay, and this step is going to be in the shadow as well, so let's just darken that up. And again, I'm just thinning this paint out as I go at this stage with odorless terpenoid, so it's extra thin. That's why you see it drip from time to time. But I don't sweat the drips because it's all at this stage. Everything that you see right now is getting covered with more paint eventually. So a drip or a line that doesn't make sense, that stuff's all getting covered up. So I don't sweat any of that stuff. Um, Also, there needs to be like a sill on the door. What do you call it? A jamb? Is that what it's called? A jamb? I don't know. Whatever that thing under the door is. Need to think of that as well. And that's also going to catch a little bit of light on top. On this side, the other side's going to be in the shadow. That one's going to catch a bit of light. So just to make this more interesting, I think there's got to be something more on that door, right? It can't just be a blank wall. So we'll probably put a window on the door. Maybe we'll put some additional Halloween decorations behind them or something like that. We'll think about it. All right, let's check in with the chat here. Nana's Cooking Craft Corner has joined us. Thank you, Nana. Michael says, looks like Goosebumps cover so far. So good. All right, thank you. Can't go wrong with the Goosebumps cover. Nana asks, what am I using to draw with? I'm just drawing in oil paint. In this case, it is Winsor Newton Griffin Alkyd, which is a fast drying oil paint, and then I'm thinning it down with odorless terpenoid, which is why it's so runny. Yeah, that's what I'm using. Okay, let's think about adding some interest into this door. So before I get in here and do some straight lines with the T-square, I'm just going to freehand rough some shapes first just to because once I get in there at the T-square, I might lose sight of kind of where I want things to go. So let's see. So this is, we're going to start with this being like a window on the door, and then probably if we continue down with that line, just a little more. I do not know door terminology, but woodwork, you know, a little bit of fancy woodworking on the door there. So let's try to put that in. And I made it easy on myself. You know, this is a straight on perspective. There's no crazy perspective I have to keep in mind, other than, well, messed that up. Other than, you know, the steps, which I just eyeballed pretty awfully thus far, so I will have to fix those. But, yeah, okay. And should probably give it a doorknob, shall we? And again, our light source is the patio light up there, so we'll keep that in mind. And we'll do a keyhole on the doorknob and all that stuff, but for now, not going to overthink it too much. Let's see. And so this, I do want this to be a window, but I also I didn't account for it to have a light source behind him, and I don't want to redo his lovely shadows. So we are going to say this is still a window, but since it is a monster home in back of him, again, he's on his own doorstep. This is his monster mom is taking a picture of him on the doorstep. We're going to do lights out inside. So I'm just going to black out this window, which I think is going to give us the added bonus of making him pop a little more, you know. Just some nice contrast. Or so I hope. We can always maybe paint in some curtains on the other side of that window and maybe have a little bit of light glowing through if we want. I just don't want so much light in there that it's going to affect you know, what we've already established as our light source. And again, so he's out on Halloween night, you know, so, you know, the moonlight's going to be out. There'll theoretically be some street lights in front of him that we can't see, just enough to give it kind of like an ambient light. So, you know, we want to understand that the porch light is on, and that's what's casting our harsh shadows. It's not necessarily the only thing shining light onto our scene. So we're going to keep that in mind, and you want to think about, well, what does that mean for the scene, right? If we've got moonlight coming in, is it a yellow moonlight? Is it more of a blue moonlight? I'm feeling more cool colors on this, right? Maybe like blue, like bluish turquoise for a lot of this backdrop, and his shadow side maybe on the blue side, and then we go super bright on the pumpkin bucket and super bright on the eyes, and have that as like a counterpoint to the blue of everything else. That's where my head's at now. Of course, if you've watched me paint before, you know that I am prone to change my mind at the drop of a hat. So, and I'm just adding in some sloppy weathering here on the wall, just to give it a little bit of texture, because I'm not going crazy detail on the wall here, but texturing it up a bit. I gotta add a little bit more of a door jamb, but we're gonna worry about that as we go. For now, just like, you know, years of, and this is one instance where drips actually help, right? Years of dirty rainwater coming down over the wall of this house. We get some free detail from the drips when we do that. And there will likely be some kind of a plant life coming up here or something to give it more interest, maybe around the edges here. I'm gonna worry about that in a bit, but hey, that's shaping up, right? It's starting to look cool. Let's get a face on our pumpkin bucket, shall we? Let's see what's happening in the chat. I have question: is good to draw the image then paint it, Clint? Um, I did a great ox painting. If you don't know what that is, it's a extinct bird of the past. I painted it for my grandmother for her birthday. Oh, very cool. So the question is it good to draw the image and then paint it? Absolutely. I just do. So a lot of times, in some of these episodes, you'll note sometimes I have a drawing that I've already done in a sketchbook, and I work from that as kind of a reference. But a lot of times I'm making it up off the top of my head, or whatever, or looking at like this lovely pumpkin, kind of looking at that and other stuff I have on my shelf or whatever. And I actually just do my drawing right in paint. Now, you could say that I'm not drawing, that I'm actually just painting immediately, but I still look at this part of the process as drawing. Mostly because I know that I'm still figuring it out and not necessarily committing to everything I do at this stage. So there are plenty of talented artists out there that don't need to draw. They just lay in paint thick right away, and they just have such a great eye that they can do that. I've always kind of needed more of a process to have an image come together. I mean, I can eventually get there, but I find it helps to be a little more methodical and process oriented for me. But I think every artist just has to find the technique that works for them, that matches their style. And I'm just referencing my pumpkin over here, trying to get a pretty good match, close enough match. Obviously, with plastic jack-o'-lantern, they release new ones every year, and no two are ever exactly the same, but I figure why not try to emulate this one that I've got here. And I think that's good enough for his face for right now. We'll refine it as we go. And I certainly want to refine this shape. For those of you that watch my YouTube or have watched it on the regular, years ago I did a video for the channel about taking one of those foam pumpkins from a craft store and turning it, sculpting on top of it and turning it into like a gnarly kind of pumpkin monster. And now this year I'm working on a scarecrow for my front yard, and that pumpkin that I made for the YouTube channel, that one I gave away to a subscriber after I hit 10,000 subscribers, and so I need to make another one of those now because I want to use one as a head for my scarecrow. So that's one project I have ahead of me this Halloween. Yeah, he's looking pretty cool already. I like it. I like the direction. Let's see. Just seeing how dry we're getting there. Not very, not very. I just got paint out of my hands, but I'm just going to go ahead and give this a little bit of a wipe down here because I want to start moving into color soon. Just to, give you guys a show. You don't want to just watch me paint in black and white all night. So yeah, I think we're going to go with like a dark turquoise as our main back color, right? So dark turquoise, bright orange, probably like a bright light cadmium red for his eyes, maybe even just keep with the orange for that. And then again, I want the light bouncing through here. I want that bouncing onto, reflecting onto his sheet right here, and I want it reflecting onto the door right there. So we want to keep all of that in mind. Let's start throwing in some color, right? I'm going to start with phthalo turquoise, which I really just added this color to my paint collection earlier this year, and ever since I don't think I've gone a single painting without using it. I'm just going turquoise crazy. Oh, thanks, Michael. Glad you enjoyed the Creature and Tarman videos. Oh, that's one thing. I'm working on another Tarman like an actual sculpture. I did for those who don't know the context of what Michael's talking about in the chat there, I did a video converting like a cheap Halloween mask into a Tarman mask from Return of the Living Dead. And, but now I'm working on a digital sculpt of just like an original sculpture of Tarman, because he's one of, if not the coolest zombie design ever. Designed by the artist William Stout, by the way. Okay. So what I've done now is I just mixed up that phthalo turquoise with this liquid. This is a medium that not only does it thin your paint, and it allows kind of the underlayers to show through if you paint thin with it, but it also accelerates dry time. So oil paint is pretty slow drying, but if you mix your paint with the right mixture of liquid or an equivalent medium, then tomorrow when I come back to the painting, it'll be dry and be ready for another session. So look at that. Already I like that. And the goal here is not to paint this turquoise on here evenly, right? I want this to be a textured surface with some personality to it, so there's going to be darker spots, there'll be lighter spots. You just kind of feel that out. I mean, it's when you're painting and coming up with a scene, you got to make those decisions. Just aesthetic choices about how you want it to be. And I imagine too, again, it's going to go through several different coats of paint, and different colors will be washed in over time, or glazed in, as it were. The more you do stuff like this, the more you start to be able to look ahead to future steps that you're going to take with your painting. The main thing is that you have fun with it, though, right? Because if you are not having fun painting, well, there are other ways to pass the time, right? Okay, and then this side I want to do even lighter because this one's going to be closer to our light source, you know. So I'm really going to thin down the turquoise that I put in on this side, which just means adding more liquid, less paint, more liquid. And again, I'm going to end up putting some bushes or something's going to happen here in the foreground on the sides here, more than likely. And when you're dealing with, I mean, because I assume that this is going to be like a stucco wall or something like that, you know, standard suburban house texturing here. So with something like that, with stucco or even old paint, you know, you don't have to be precious about the shapes or whatever. It just has to have a texture that's kind of interesting, you know. And as you can see, I'm not putting a whole hell of a lot of thought into that. I'm just kind of doing these loose, crazy brush blobbies. And I'm going to keep this turquoise going throughout, man. I'm going turquoise crazy. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the turquoise. I'm going to mix in some titanium white. A lot of titanium white. And I'm just going to mix up a super light blue color, and I'm even going to throw in just a touch of lamp black in here. I really should have a camera on my palette, for otherwise you just hear me talking about mixing colors without actually seeing what I'm doing. But oh wait, actually I can lift it up. We have the technology. Right, so I just took a little bit of my phthalo turquoise, some titanium white, threw in just a touch of the lamp black, and I'm just mixing up a light gray color, and this is just going to be the foreground sidewalk and top of the step color. Still keeping with that blue tone because we're going for like a blue moonlit night. So it is blue based, but you know, throw a little bit of the lamp black in there to gray it out a bit. I also note to self, I got to add a shadow from that step coming in there too, but I got to let this gray color dry before I do that. Well, not necessarily, but I'm gonna let it dry anyway. Hey, for those who have recently joined the live stream, thank you for watching. You're watching Art Autopsy. It's a bi-weekly live stream that I do here on the Clint Carney Creates YouTube channel. I am your host, Clint Carney. I'm a professional artist. I do a lot of work in the film and television industry, and I show in a bunch of galleries and stuff. And every 2 weeks, I show up here on YouTube to paint live for you guys, for your viewer enjoyment. And I encourage everyone at home to get your art supplies out and make some art right alongside me. And if you make something that you're proud of and you want to show off, email it to me. My email address is clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I'll feature it on an upcoming live stream. And that's the end of that spiel again. Stay tuned. You'll hear it again in another half hour. squeeze out some more paint on my palette here in a second. Running low on the black. In fact, I'm running low on black paint in general. I ran to 2 different art stores today before this live stream, and neither of them sold the alkyd paints that I wanted, so I had to order it online like a savage. But we got enough to get through today's painting anyway, so not a big deal. It's already feeling pretty nice to me, just with limited amount of color coming in. We're going to keep the turquoise going with the rest of the background. It's going to, this back window dark. It's going to be very dark turquoise. I might hint at some curtains back there. Door frame is going to be a similar but slightly warmer turquoise. Still turquoise based, but I might let some color leak into that as well. And then his sheet, obviously it's a white sheet, so we're going to keep some stark white highlights, but the shadow side of the sheet is also going to be the turquoise, but it's going to be a milkier turquoise. You will see. So I do have other than the phthalo turquoise, which is that kind of darker base that you can mix in a lot of different colors with, I also have a radiant turquoise, which is more of like it's more like if you took this turquoise and mixed it with some white, and sometimes that's a good starting point. That might be where I go in and use that for his shadow side. But I got to get some more paint on my palette here. First, I got to squeeze out some more black, and then I'm going to go to an old favorite here, which is going to be iron oxide red, which I'm going to ever so faintly mix up a new color with that and some of the turquoise. Transparent oxide red, sorry, I always call it that for some reason. And we're just going to get a little warmer for some little bit of just to differentiate the door color just a little bit. You'll see. Okay. So this here, the very dark color, this is that transparent oxide red mixed with phthalo turquoise. It's very dark, and I'm just hitting the darkest parts that I want here with this color. Especially maybe around the further we get away from the light. Probably hit that with the shadow side too, or this little shadow. I mean, it's almost black. It's that dark. If you paint thick with it, if you're not going in thinning it down. But of course, on the door, I am thinning it down. But use the unthinned version for the shadow there. Let's give this doorknob a bit of a shadow on there. Okay. Now, just going back to the thinned down phthalo turquoise to complement that and let that work that right in with the darker turquoise they mixed up there. I don't want to get too crazy with this part of things yet, because again, I want kind of like a reflective cast off of that pumpkin bucket, and I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to do that. I know how I want it to look in my head, but I don't necessarily know how I'm going to execute it yet. So I don't want to put a lot of paint on there just yet that I won't be able to fix later. I want to try to get this painting in as good a shape as possible during the live stream, because inevitably, you know, I'm going to come back and keep working this painting, but I you know, try to finish it up before the next art autopsy. But I would love to make a lot of good progress on it now, so you guys can see how it shapes up. Bill says, love the blue, a perfect color for eerie vibes. Thanks, man. Thank you. Does anyone do that? You guys heard of that Drawloween thing? It's like an ongoing thing every October where some artist, to be honest, I don't know who hosts this, but someone out there posts like a list of things for you to draw, and you draw it like, you know, every day of the week in October, and then at the end of it all you got like 31 drawings of spooky stuff. I've never done that before, but I think it's cool. Like, you know, I like that it's out there in the world that people are doing that, and anything that encourages people to make art I fully support, so I dig that. But have any of you tried that? Or are you familiar with it? Let me know. Some people, I think especially this is true for um, a lot of artists who don't necessarily do it every day. And you can find it difficult sometimes to come up with ideas. Um, and sometimes like a fun little exercise like that Drawloween thing or whatever can be just the thing to help you to get you back in the mode of drawing. And I think, you know, with making art, the more you do it, the easier it is to come up with ideas. I cannot remember the last time I couldn't come up with an idea for a painting. It was just not a problem I have had. But I don't let myself go too long without making art. And I think it's a muscle like anything, right? Just exercising it by drawing, sketching all the time as much as you can, or painting. I think that just helps the ideas flow. Oh, Liz says, I know about Inktober. It's the same, yeah, same thing. Inktober is, I mean, it's not the same thing. It's that one artist set up Inktober, someone else did the Drawloween thing, but the concept is the same. Yeah, just, yeah, drawing spooky stuff in the month of October. Okay, I think I am going to, I think I'm going to do the orange cast, the reflections and stuff, before I get into the actual orange of the pumpkin. Because I think I'm just going to mix. The orange cast is going to be pretty subtle against the wall, and I think I can tackle that with just that transparent oxide red mixed with a bit of white. And then, because his sheet is going to be closer to him, that's going to be more of a more of a cadmium orange mixed with the white, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and just dive in and think about how I want this orange cast to be on the wall and back of him. You know, it's got to be done eventually. Why not do it now? Okay. And it's not, you know, not going crazy with it, just adding a little bit of warmth in there. And then, which, you know, visually may not make a lot of sense right now to your eye, but once this bright color is added in and you see it in context of the full thing, it'll make sense. I think. And if it doesn't, well, we just paint over it. Nothing that you can do in a painting that you cannot fix with more paint. Okay, yeah, I think that was all we needed. It was just that little bit on that back wall. Maybe I'll get a little crazy and even throw a little bit here on the shadow side. Just a hint of that into the shadow on the ground. Not going crazy with it, because I do want to keep the integrity of our shadow, but I think, yeah, if we just put in a little bit there, that's all it needs. All right. Very cool. Very cool. All right, guys. I got to take a quick break. I will be back in less than 5 minutes. So you can see my holding screen. And yeah, I will be right back. Don't go away. And we are back. Let's see. Let's see. Refresh the page here. All right, we didn't lose too many people. Thanks for bearing with me. Let's see what's happening in the chat while I'm gone. Oh, Michael Garcia had to go. Well, thanks for joining us. Let's see. Undead of Night has joined us. Let's see. Undead of Night is trying to do 2 movies a weekend with drawings and paintings for all movies. Oh, that sounds awesome. Let's see. Zach says, I can't wait to see the new Return of the Living Dead. Me too, man. I really liked the teaser. Actually, random story in that regard. I got one of my friends, Pete Von Schally, who is an awesome storyboard artist, got hit up to do some storyboards for it. He wasn't available. He recommended me, so the director hit me up to do some storyboards for it, but I wasn't available either. So I recommended my friend Ricardo, who ended up getting the gig. So after a series of recommendations, they found their storyboard artist. But I would have absolutely loved to work on that movie because I'm a big Return of the Living Dead fan. But yeah, schedule-wise, didn't work out. And sometimes, sometimes it just works out for the best. I had a opportunity to work on a Ghostbusters film once, but I couldn't do it because I was producing another movie at the time, and I was bummed because I loved Ghostbusters or whatever. But I was able to get a friend the gig, and then it ended up being not a great movie anyway. I never actually saw it, but I heard it wasn't that great, so I guess I'm happier that I worked worked on my own movie in the long run. So sometimes things just work out anyway. All right, I just squeezed out some cadmium orange onto my palette, and I'm just going to start throwing in some orange here. But actually, let me think about this. I'm going to throw in some other colors on the palette while I'm at it. I'm going to also throw in a cadmium red and a little more of the transparent oxide red, and I think those are the 3 colors that will end up making up what I'm seeing here, theoretically. I'm sorry, you can't see it. What I'm seeing here on my with the actual pumpkin bucket. But yeah, they back to Return of the Living Dead. They released I'm just digging through paints here while I talk. They released a teaser for it at the beginning of the year, which was just like one shot of. Also going to put some. Wait, what is the difference here? Cadmium orange and cadmium orange hue, which is slightly darker. Well, not darker. How to describe? It's a slightly different shade. Anyway, the teaser is just Tarman dragging a Christmas tree through a cemetery. But it looks really cool. The Tarman makeup looked good. They brought back Tony Gardner. If you guys, who's a makeup guy, if you guys have seen the original Return of the Living Dead, Tony Gardner is the guy that made the half corpse woman that gets pulled through the door, the one that explains why they eat brains. Tony Gardner made that, so it was cool that they are working with him on this new version. That was cool. Alexander Ward is playing Tarman. He's a guy that I know a little bit. I don't know him well, but I've seen him around a bit, talked to him a couple times here in LA. He was also he does a lot of creature work. He was the new Barlow in the last the last Salem's Lot movie, um, which honestly I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but I thought he did a good job as Barlow. I thought that reboot was stylistically cool, um, but visually cool, but writing wise was not my cup of tea, let's say. Mostly because, the source material, being the book by Stephen King, was so good. All you got to do is stick with that. Um, but they didn't. It was problematic. Anyway, I'm just all over the place here. This is just the cadmium orange, and I'm just basically trying to somewhat carefully outline my facial features that I drew in on this pumpkin, so that the black paint is still wet. I mean, the white paint is still wet a little bit, but that not as much. But I don't want to have that black paint contaminate the bright colors, so I'm just making a little outline around it. Okay, and yeah, let's get crazy with it and mix up some of our cadmium orange with some titanium white, and I want to mix just a lighter, somewhat milkier orange color for this side here. And again, if you guys, those have been watching from the beginning, our light source is kind of up here on the right. That's our porch light. It's coming in here. The pumpkin bucket's empty because he hasn't gone trick-or-treating yet, so our light is coming in through this pumpkin bucket. And because this is a thin plastic material, light travels through it, and it's actually illuminating this opposite side a bit as well, which is also what contributes to it bouncing light all around. And then, of course, it's going to be brighter on the actual light side as well. And this orange um, color, I'm not thinning this with a medium at all right now. I'm just going in painting thick on this, just making some judgment calls on the color and just committing to it. Um, so there is more than a fair chance that I'm gonna choose inappropriately on how I mix some of this color and go back and have to fix it later, but that will be a problem for later. Okay, let's see. It's kind of just, I don't know how much you can actually tell what the hell I'm doing on the live stream here. I don't know how good the camera is after it. But you know, the differences in color are kind of subtle. You know, I want, you know, ultimately it's an object that is only one color, but the way that color is perceived is affected by the light that goes through it and the shadows and stuff like that. So, you know, and although I have a reference of, you know, my pumpkin bucket right here in front of me, it's not lit the same way that I want this to be lit. So it's of minimal um, use when it comes to, I'm not matching the light to it. If I were smart, I would have set up a light and shown it in from the top, but I didn't necessarily know what my light source was when I started this painting. Um, but I think we're getting there. We're getting there. It's turning into something. And then two, the bucket, because it's like a blow mold plastic, also has a bit of a shine to it, and it has those ridges to it, like a pumpkin does. Ridges is the wrong word. You guys know what I'm talking about. It has those pumpkin lines, you know, you know. Let's see what's happening in the chat here. Travis says, since you've talked before about how YouTube censors a lot of horror content, I'm curious what you think about the new AI video generators like Sora 2. They have pretty strict guardrails on violent imagery. Do you think that will help keep practical effects alive in the horror industry, or just make it harder for indie creators to make horror gore content? Good question. I think practical effects will be alive in the industry because the horror audience kind of demands it. Right? I think in general, I don't like, you know, the limitations of something like that with an AI program for filmmaking. I don't think necessarily that a lot of serious filmmakers are, at least in the short term, going to lean too heavily into that, especially when it comes to gore. So I think for the time being, um, practical will be safe, and yeah, maybe partially enabled by the restrictions with using that kind of new technology stuff. But we'll see. You know, as time goes on, things will change, and audiences will get accustomed to that stuff the same way they got accustomed to digital effects when that came around. I was a big I was yeah, when I was a kid, and I was very anti digital effects because when it first came out, it just really wasn't that good. Little did I know at the time that I would eventually make at least some portion of my income doing digital effects. So time will tell on all of those fronts. So good question, though. Good question. The new Sora 2, though, does look pretty crazy. The demos are looking pretty realistic. But, you know, when they first released the trailer for Sora 1, which was over a year ago or whatever, I thought me and the rest of my visual effects filmmaking people were going to be screwed. But it has not put me out of work yet. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's see. Undead of Night says, yeah, saw the New Salem's Lot, skipped over all the character development and made Marsden House interior look like a B&B. Nice. And I love this painting. It has that creepy comic look. Thank you. Pumpkin ribs. Yes. Is that what they're called, really? I like it. Pumpkin ribs. All right. Now I'm just taking, this is just a cadmium red right here, cadmium red light, which I'm just doing for right around the lip here, and I'll probably throw some of this in at the base of the pumpkin. It's looking pretty cool. I'm digging it so far, you know. We are only, let's see, we're an hour and 40 minutes deep into this painting. Well, into the live stream. I, of course, ramble for the first several minutes, but yeah, we're making good progress. I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. So far, so good. I was not feeling the painting during the last live stream. It's ending pretty soon, but well, it's not that I wasn't feeling the painting. I just look. Let's be honest. Sometimes I want to paint, and I don't want to paint in front of a live audience. I just want to sit there and paint and put on a movie or listen to an audiobook, and I was not in the I was having a stressful day and not in the live painting mood, so that one went pretty short. But that painting, even though it is a weird one, I think will turn out cool by the time it's done. I'm giving this one, my pumpkin bucket doesn't have this kind of a lip, but I do have other pumpkin buckets. I've got these ground lamps outside. They're like solar lamps and they stick into your front lawn. And then on Halloween, I stick pumpkin buckets in them so that they glow. Um, and those ones have this kind of lip on them like I'm painting on this one. And I've been working with those all day, getting those lamps ready. And not all day, but earlier today I was working with it. And yeah, so that's inspiring the bigger lip at the top of this pumpkin bucket. It kind of is like it's kind of like a cauldron feel to it, I think. Look, let's face it, I may or may not have a ridiculous amount of pumpkin buckets lying around my house. I may have a pumpkin bucket problem. What can I say? I just love Halloween. But yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. I mean, you know, it's gonna probably, once this round of paint dries, I could probably do with some fancying up and some additional punches of color here, and there. But yeah, um, first session, I'm cool with that. Oh yeah, I also got to think, for those of you who weren't in from the beginning, this is a monster who is trick-or-treating. He's only going to have 3 fingers on his hands, and his hand is going to be somewhat reptilian, and his eyes are going to be glowing. Now you're caught up. So I got to think about that too, because I do want to keep the color palette pretty limited. Um, so I don't know that I want to, if I introduce a green that's too bold, then that's going to become the only thing that's green in the painting, and the focal point is going to go to that hand. And let's face it, the hand is not the focal point. It's going to be his glowing eyes and the pumpkin bucket. Those are going to be where, you know, where the eye is drawn to. So I got to do something subtle with the hand color, but enough to where you can tell, other than the 3 fingers, that it's not human. So we're going to put some thought into that as we go. I'll probably just mix up, I'll probably just take some of the cadmium orange and throw in a little of the turquoise with that, and mix up kind of a more subtle green with those 2 colors. Okay, but let's start putting some color into our ghost. Could do a patina copper green. Oh yeah, there you go. Good thought, Zach. Okay. I just squeezed out some of that radiant turquoise. If you recall from earlier, that's the turquoise that's already kind of like a milkier color as opposed to the phthalo turquoise, which is like this darker color. So now I'm just going to shadow side of him make some kind of bold, blocky choices with this radiant turquoise. And look how radiant it is. I need a smaller brush. And then I'm going to thin down some more of my phthalo turquoise and mix it in with a little bit of the radiant turquoise and just get a slightly darker color here to have it transition into that color. There we go. And again, I'm just keeping the turquoise in the shadows here. If you start letting this turquoise slip into your non-shadows, then you end up starting to look like he's wearing a turquoise color sheet, which is not the intention. So you know, just intentionally keeping this in the shadows. Actually, you know, I'm going to just keep that on his right side, mostly. Try not to let it dip too much into his left, our right. All right, I gotta get some more liquid on my palette. How you guys doing? I just picked up a new bottle of liquid today. I just want to show you something here. Nobody will care. I only halfway care. But this is the new bottle of liquid. Look at the color difference. They must have changed the formula because the new bottle of liquid is less pigmented, more white, which maybe is better. I don't know. We're gonna find out. Once I run out of that bottle, I hope it's good. Hope they didn't change the formula too much from the liquid that I know and love. And I'm trying to be somewhat aware of where I'm going to throw in this light bounce from the pumpkin onto the sheet too. So I don't want to I don't want to get turquoise in where that's going to happen, because then I'm going to have a big muddy mess. So I'm letting the phthalo turquoise go into this side, but the brilliant turquoise, to clarify my earlier statement, the brilliant turquoise I'm keeping on his other side. Okay, now let's think about this orange bounce onto the sheet. And I'm starting with my cadmium orange. Let me show you what a mess my palette is turning into, by the way. You guys see that? So I'm starting with my cadmium orange here, and I'm just lightening it up with some titanium white. And that lighter color is what's coming in right here. And I'll just let that work out and wipe off my brush and fade it a little bit down. And now maybe let it get a little darker, bring a little bit more of the orange back in. Oops, that's a little too much. Just kind of blending that in with where I imagine he might bounce a little light onto the sheet. Doesn't have to be crazy, you know, not a crazy amount or anything, just enough to give us some interest there. And I think that too helps with not only the bounce. Again, you know, if I hold this up, you can see the color of my skin change as this gets closer. So there's that, but also as you have light going through here and transmitting around, you know, it's going to react against different things in certain ways. And, you know, it's all your best guess. You know, is this is this realistic in terms of the physics of how the light is going to travel through that pumpkin? Good chance it is not. But does it look cool like that? I think it looks pretty cool. You know, I'll probably change it, you know, tweak it out of it as I go forward. But for now, I'm digging it. Okay, let's mix up a little bit of green in his hand. So I'm messing around on my palette right now. I don't know what the color is going to be just yet, but I'm experimenting. So you guys have to bear with me while I'm having fun with color here. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to introduce a new color to my palette, but I'm using the colors that already exist on the palette, mixing them together to kind of get there, because I want a greenish color, but I don't want it to be so green that it pops. You know, it's just enough where the keen observer will note that this is not a human hand holding this pumpkin bucket. I guess you don't have to be a keen observer to note that. You just have to be able to count fingers. But of which he does not have the regular human amount. So yeah, I ended up just going with the turquoise and cadmium orange to arrive at that basic color there. And then I'm just reinforcing the dark shadows on the hands here with straight up phthalo turquoise. All right, and I'm cool with that for now. And then I also want to add just a little hint of that orange from his bucket, just reflecting up on the bottom of his fingers. Just a little, just a touch there. Okay. All right, now let's get crazy with his eyeballs. I'm going to start by just laying down cadmium red. This is cadmium red light hue, which is an orangier red than cadmium red deep. And I had started, there was white on there before initially, which this is just somewhat blending in with, reinforcing it, going darker on the outside, and then as we work our way inward, now I'm going to take our cadmium orange, put that more toward the center, and then next and last step for this session, at least on the, oh no, I got some blue in there accidentally. Ah, hazards of the trade. I dirtied up my color and it was looking so nice. See if we can recover. All right, and then I'm just going to take some titanium white and so it's going to be brightest right at the center here. Just a big old thick dab of titanium white in the center of these eyes. And I'm going to just work that out a little bit. When I say work it out, I mean take the brush and just ever so subtly blend it with the other colors there from the inside out. Great. And then I'm going to take a little bit of orange and just give that glow a little bounce onto the sheet around it. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. It's taking shape. All right. Let's give a little bit of love to the doorknob here. It won't take much. I just want to reinforce the shadow side here, make that a little darker. Okay. Now I want to go in with some more titanium white, and I just want to reinforce our highlights. Coming down again from that top side. All right. Hey, for those of you just joining the stream, you're watching Art Autopsy. I'm your host, Clint Carney. I'm a professional painter. I work a lot in the film and television industry, and I show in galleries all over the place. So every 2 weeks, I do this live stream on my channel here, and I encourage everyone watching to get your art supplies out and make art right alongside with me. If you make some art that you would like to share, email it to me. My email address is clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I'll share your art on an upcoming live stream. And that is my spiel there. So that's what you're watching for those just joining. Also, if I can ask a favor of you guys, if you don't mind, please, if you can, just like the video. Just click the thumbs up, or if you want to get crazy, leave a comment. All of that stuff helps the channel, it helps people find this channel and find this live stream, and ultimately the purpose of this live stream is to just encourage people to make art, get art out into the world. And sometimes, especially when the world can be chaotic, making art is a good way to stay sane. Or so I like to tell myself. Okay, well, I'll tell you, I'm feeling pretty good about him. He's going to need another session or two. I'm going to add more details, put bushes in, probably some curtains behind there, maybe do some fancier woodworking on the door, and of course, continue to refine the cloth and the pumpkin and all that sort of thing. But I think that's a good spot. Everything is pretty covered in paint now, pretty saturated. So I think we're at a good stopping point for the evening after I make a few little tweaks here. So yeah, I think we're going to pause on that. I'll be back in 2 weeks. So if you want to head over to my website, clintcarney.com, and you can bookmark that, and you'll keep abreast on when the new live streams are coming out. You can see when my live events are, when I'll be at galleries and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, we're gonna call it on there. Oh, let's see what's happening in the chat. Zach asks, does the monster have a name? Not yet, but we'll give him one before the painting's done. Liz says, I'm loving how the ghost creature is looking. Well, thank you, Liz. But yeah, we're going to call it a night. Made good progress. I feel pretty good about that for a first session. We're about 2 hours deep into this painting. Pretty good. I thank you guys for spending time with me. Again, once you finish up whatever pieces you're working on, please remember to email them to me if you want me to share them with the rest of the viewers. And that's it. I hope you guys have a great night. I will see you next time.